Okay. I don't think we have anyone from Korea today. So, Haesung, can we start with your updates?
I think Monica will join soon too. I'm not sure where she is. But, my update is for DART, the bronchoalveolar cohort. I just asked Patricia if we received the COI disclosure form from all the authors. So once we have all of that, then we should be ready to submit.
What
And
journal
then,
was it? JTO?
yes,
Can you screen share that Google Doc with the journals?
yes, one second. Right, yeah, do you see it?
Yeah. So JTO, the thyroid special analysis is not ready yet.
No, because I talked to Cora last week and she still said it's still pending. But you sent me something else, I think, over the weekend, and I addressed that issue. Oh, there was actually something I wanted to ask. It was regarding the BRAF and RET mutation status. The two, one of the authors mentioned citing two different articles about the mutation status, but I'm just not exactly sure in what ways I should incorporate that into our manuscript because we are already very close to reaching the character limits. And I'm not sure how the mutation status significantly contributes to our findings because the mutation status had nothing to do with the response or the clinical outcomes of patients with thyroid cancer. And the RET mutations were not the rearrangements that the two articles were talking about. It wasn't the patients didn't have the RET PTC rearrangements, but they rather had RET point mutations.
Mhm. So whose comment was that?
Um,
Can you show me that comment? Share the screen.
Magdalena Doran, Dr. Doran from NIH, Rusinek and Giordano. So
Screen.
as you can see here, these are all point mutations instead of RET PTC rearrangements, but these two articles talk about the rearrangements.
Interestingly, found a relatively old paper that demonstrated in a large cohort of populated thyroid cancer classifier based on expression profile, BRAF, RET. I think that I think that these should be included in the discussion in this paper. Okay. All right. So for the medullary, M91AT is a point mutation. I think it's important for medullary. For papillary, it's the fusion. For medullary, I think it's still important. It's a driver mutation. So medullary and papillary are very different. M91AT, Ret medullary. I'm just trying to see. So that's the gain of function mutation red oncogene. And it could be part of the MEN2 cancer syndrome, multiple endocrine neoplasia type. So it could be germline as well. And then let's see which one. The papillary L19 deletion, and there's papillary G691S. Did you look into that one? Or
So the thing is, like, if we're going to add the spatial analysis material to our manuscript, we are already like 50 words away from the character limit, from the word limit. And so I'm just not fully understanding what this will contribute to our manuscript, because this means that we'll have to take out some parts
Mm.
to add this, as well as the spatial analysis part. And the mutation status didn't have anything to do with the response patterns or the clinical outcomes.
Mm.
And no, I didn't, from my research at least, these point mutations in the red genes for papillary cancers didn't seem to have much like evidence behind like how that relates to their response patterns or clinical outcomes.
Mm. So I'm looking at the second paragraph, 2 cases with very high numbers of TMB, and there's subgrouping based on the expression. It's now expressed mutation of the genes. The numbers are very small, and none of these characters was associated with response. So these 2 patients, there was no response.
These were right. Yeah, these patients didn't respond. The patients with over 100 mutations per megabase.
And mutation status. So we had a medullary responder, which was is that true? Medullary responded?
Apparently, yes.
Can you double check? Is there a way to double check?
1 second.
Maybe it was a stable disease without like
Yeah, it
resistance
could be.
response. Because that's
I
how
can
we
check
defined
it.
it, right? That's
Right.
how we defined it in this article.
Yeah. Yeah, SD over 6 months. 8.1 months to be exact.
8.1 month for medullary. Okay. Yeah, that's quite rare. Medullary is considered really non-responsive. Okay. Can you go back to that? Can you share screen on that?
Yeah,
So
1
I'll
second.
give you my final comment. Okay, so um I think these should be included in the discussion in this paper. Uh, So for papillary, we have 3 B600E. For medullary, we have 2 red point mutations. For papillary, this is, like you said, this is not important. mTOR in anaplastic, it's unclear whether this could be driver or not. So this is my suggestion. I would add one sentence that will say something like this. Among these 18 patients, I would say 3 papillary patient had known driver mutation, B600E. I would say where papillary is how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 3 out of 5 had driver mutation, right? Medullary is 1, 2. 3 out of 2 had driver point mutation in RET. mTOR is unclear. I don't think we have any data. So I think we could mention that, out of people who we've done NGS whole exome sequencing, these are the prevalence of the driver mutations, known driver mutations. And then you can cite these papers for that sentence. That's just a description that people would be happy to see. As one sentence, I think you can add it. And once we have spatial analysis, we'll have to see. I think sending a lot of like the method section and sending them that to supplemental method or something like that will give you some space. People do that.
Yeah. Okay. My question is, I thought the red PTC rearrangement was like the driver mutation for modular.
But there's no red fusion here, right?
Right.
Yeah.
It's
So
just point. So it's okay to say that as driver mutation?
So this is for all of you. So when I'm giving you, when we're doing this lab meeting, I'm having all you guys to listen because there's lesson in every project we do. This is my time to teach all of you. Medullary versus papillary or well differentiated. So it includes follicular. So well differentiated versus medullary has different genomic landscape. In well differentiated, red fusion is the only thing that's important. This is same as non-small cell lung cancer. In lung cancer, red fusion is really important. It's part of the FDA approved drug in NCCN. Now in medullary, it's only the point mutation that is the driver. So that is why I'm saying in medullary, we have driver mutation, which is the point mutation. We didn't find any fusion, so we don't have to mention it here. Okay?
Yep.
Yeah. And I think we did mention that the TMB nothing correlated with response in our, yeah, we did mention that, so. Okay, good.
So that's it for thyroid for now. Oh, and then I wanted to ask, actually I already checked, but for non-epithelial ovarian cancer, remember how we submitted to JNCI, but they returned several times because I got something wrong on the corresponding author citation.
Yeah.
And I sent an inquiry email a couple days ago. I checked this morning and we still haven't received a reply, so we'll have to wait for that. What's going on?
So, yeah, I don't understand what they want, and so the other way is call their office. Sometimes that's the better way. So I would recommend calling them. Just go to our website and find their number and keep trying. Cause we have to get it moving.
And then for clear cell gynecologic cancers as well as desmoid,
Oh, share your screen.
I emailed them to you. It was yesterday.
You emailed what?
I emailed the revised clear cell gynecologic. Oh, I mean, I can share that. I can share that with you, but I emailed them to you so that you can share them with Dr. Kurzweil and Megan. So
Oh,
both clear cell gyn and desmoid.
oh, clear cell. And did you have any questions on the comments?
Uh, no,
Did
not really.
Kurtrak return the final version?
No, you only forwarded me Megan's comments on both.
Oh, the Megan's
Both
comment. Okay.
manuscripts.
And then the Megan's comments, I skimmed through it, but was that straightforward to you?
I believe so. I
Okay.
don't remember having any questions.
Okay, so after the lab meeting, come to my office. Let's look for any responses together. So that's clear cell desmoid. Can you share your screen about the journal plan? Okay, so that was the final review to NC. What is NC?
Nature Communications.
Clear cell nature communication. What are you trying to show here?
Huh? Where?
No, you were searching for something.
Oh, sorry.
And desmoid is JITC, bulbar. And where are you with other three?
Oh, we're still in the process of getting these two finalized. So,
No, I'm talking about the next three cohorts.
well, this one we already submitted to ACR, and then vulvar and small cell. I mean, I'm still finalizing, but I wanted to get these two out first.
Yeah, okay. So keep working on it because we're having the overall paper out soon. So we really need to get all three cohorts out as a paper. So keep working on finishing those three more cohorts. And then it's more translational. So we haven't decided on a journal for sarcomatoid. So it's sarcomatoid lung, right?
Yes.
So let's try JTO first. And if it doesn't get to JTO, we'll try CCR. And JITC next. Yeah. For that ovarian, let's JITC, CCR. Let's try, well, gyneco. So is that clear cell? Is that nature communication? Where's the gynecologic oncology?
This one, non-epithelial ovarian cancer.
Do you remember what the impact vector was?
Oh,
No, that's
that was
pretty
2020.
decent. That's decent. So let's go back. I think for Volvar, we can do Volvar and small cell ovarian, we can put that geo, yeah, here. Volvar second,
Or here.
yeah, there, and then in there. Is there gynecology, oncology, clear cell? You can put that as fourth journal. See. Desmoid. You can put CCR, yeah, in the clear desmoid. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So as you, same thing with vulvar, small cell ovarian sarcomatoid, as you keep writing the articles, run through me. Any questions you have, the data, I mean, you've written enough articles so that you know the logic and what we're trying to say, but every disease entity is a little bit different and the data is a little bit different. So if you run into any questions, please run it by me real time. Again, the reason why these reports are important is somewhere in the globe, someone is looking for data. Like what's, they exhaust chemotherapy options. What is there? And they don't do a good job looking at abstracts. They will go to PubMed and find an article. And what was the data? Out of 4 patients, 3 patients responded. So we just published, we got paper accepted in CCR. It's a trophoblastic disease article, and it got published in CCR. Dr. Sandeep Patel is the first author. I'm the co-first author, and I think it's transforming the current practice. 4 out of 3 patients responded really well, and it's measured by the beta HCG level, the response. Same thing. Patient with these tumor types, they need to know that there is a good other alternative treatment option. And the doctors would use it only based on published publication. So if we publish this late, this means that people who would have gotten the drug based on citing the publication, do you know a lot of pharmaceutical company or insurance companies are asking for, good publication citations? So, it is important to get this out. And yeah, if you need help from others, I always tell you, feel free to get some help. But try your best to get all these papers out as fast as you can. So I just wanted to emphasize that again about the clinical papers. It's only when we publish our job is done. We can finish the trial. Of course, we actually help treating patients by delivering that drug to the enrolled patient. Same thing. Sometimes we work towards opening the trial, and it's so hard. The companies will commit and they said, oh, I don't have funding. They will back off, and this happens. There's the laying foundation stage, and there's actual treatment stage while trial is going on. And you have to manage it. Oh, I have this, can I still be enrolled? The study coordinators will have tons of questions, and I have to answer all of those. And then there's like after the data is out, and then you do the translational work, clinical analysis, and you publish the final project. And for DART, it's taking like 10 years to get that done. And it's so hard because we're all busy. We're not BMS AstraZeneca, we are, volunteers. We are, writing for me to write this paper. No one is paying me to write this paper. We're doing it for the greater human good. Of course, we are in academic institution that enables us to do this. So I want you to have a big picture. Why are we collecting data? Well, to know what data we have, what do we see, and then actually design a clinical trial that will change practice. And then once that's done, actually write it out. And that paper will transform clinical practice, that will save lives. So guys, this is addictive. This is, once you learn this cycle, actually what you've written, changing things, the papers you've written will be cited and used by insurance company, used by drug company, to authorize treatment for patients. So that's why, I think this is something that is really valuable, and I want you to see that big picture going forward. So, okay, let's start. Haesung, anything else?
For the last trial protocol, I'm still exchanging emails with the Akizo team. We're very close to finishing up
What trial? Last
the
trial?
last trial.
So, is there any questions? That I know Akizo had some comments going back and forth. Where are we?
Yeah, I did my part. I used their investigator brochure
Mhm.
to fill out any information that I possibly could, but I couldn't find any information on the availability and supply, like the logistics. And they said they will complete those sections. So I did my part, and I'm just waiting for the response.
And how long has it been since?
I replied yesterday night at 6.
So they still don't have that section completed?
Yeah, we're still waiting.
hmm. So here's what I think. I think this is taking much longer than I thought. My expectation was Akizo would give us input and all the resources. And by now we should be done with IRB and SRC. So without the completed protocol, it's hard to move things. But this would be my suggestion for Liam and Haesung. Why don't we just erase the part that we don't have completed as is? Why don't we just submit that to SRC? And then SRC will have comments and questions, and then they'll ask us to ask us questions and complete the part that we need to complete. So why don't we, and then we can update those parts that the Akizo will provide as we go along through this SRC IRB process. I don't think it's going to impact, ethical issues or scientific rationale of the protocol. So why don't we just create a version that we can submit to SRC and submit the protocol as is, and Liam can help you, Haesung, submit that to SRC. So I guess the process is SRC first, and then going to IRB, I think. And it has passed the disease team process. I think they all voted yes for the disease team. So I think it just has to go in parallel. So Haesung, what are any comments from Lunit side? Is there anything they need to fix?
That's what I'm wondering. I feel like we should maybe get a final yes from the Luna team before proceeding. Just in case.
Yeah, but do you remember anything they wanted clarification on? I think they gave all the comments that they can, right?
Um, well, in our last meeting, we just talked about, I think, what I mentioned, that you wanted to open up some sites in Korea, but, Dr. Oak had some concerns and he said he would contact you directly.
Yeah,
And
yeah. So
then we talked about,
I talked to him directly.
okay, and then they just wanted an exact timeline on how we're going to get this approved.
Yes.
At that
And that
point, I think they didn't have much comment on the protocol itself,
mhm.
but I did add some more things after our last contact with Lunit. So
Okay.
they usually respond fast anyway, so I could just run the final version by them, take out the parts that are still missing, but run everything else by them.
Yes. So take out the parts that are missing. Just don't even put the title. Like take out the whole section out. And then you can and then investigators brochure can also be submitted with the protocol itself to the SRC, Scientific Review Committee. So I know Lunit has great turnaround time. Like they usually 1 or 2 days is usually good for them. So why don't you give them email them both our protocol as well as the investigators brochure and say we're still waiting for more information from Akizo Bio, but this is the version that we're gonna submit to SRC for the time being. Make sure they don't have any additional comments at the moment, and then submit to SRC. And so I want you to make a Google Doc to share with Akizo Bio as well as Lunit. And why don't you create a timeline? So this is the what I want you to write. The timeline. So the SRC submission is gonna happen this week. SRC review usually takes like 1 month. And then we'll go to IRB. IRB is gonna take about 1 month. And in that 2 month time frame, we want Akizo Bio to be able to give us more supplement information on the drug, all that situation. And in that time frame, in the 2 month, what's gonna happen is this is gonna be a workflow timeline. What we're gonna do is find sites in Korea as well as in the US. So that's going to be 2 months of Haesung, you and me trying to find sites in the United States. So we're gonna send invitation. We're gonna write a 1-page synopsis of the trial. We're gonna come up with the this is what I told you over the phone, CDA between two institutions, so that I told you it's common. You will see commonly how people steal ideas. So that's why we need to legally protect it by having CDAs. So Liam can help Haesung make CDA between two institutions, that this is confidential. And once CDA is done, Haesung can send 1-page synopsis of not the whole protocol, but 1-page synopsis of this trial. And then the investigator will say, yes, I want to be involved, or no, we're not interested. We don't have bandwidth, right? And then that's no. So once we have formal yes, then we're going to include them as our sister site. So that sister site can be, I think, up to 10 sites, combining US and Korean sites. So Korean site, Dr. Oak told me he's going to work on sort of like talking to each site to see who is interested. So I will just rely on him first. We won't do it on our end yet, but I have a few friends across United States who is a good candidate to be doing this trial with us. So work on that. So that's the timeline for the recruiting sites. So once IRB is approved by NU, the next step for the another 1 month will be FDA IND application. So I will be the IND holder, and I will communicate with FDA to make this FDA approvable trial. Remember, for TMB, or MSI high, for that matter, that you needed small trial, just a small trial, to have the FDA indication. So we're gonna make that happen. I met the FDA representative at in Boston meeting. We had really good talk. I got her email, so I know exactly who to contact. So that's gonna happen in that time frame. So that's gonna be another 1 month, and then we're gonna get the FDA approval in that time frame, and then hopefully, with the IRB happening. Oh yeah. So pre-IND, and with that, we'll have 1 month of budget negotiation. So between NU and Lunit, there has to be budget negotiation. Lunit has to pay lots and lots of money to NU to run this trial. And that's no joke. That's just a lot of going back and forth. Legal team, budget team. That's why spending time right now with Akizo Bio makes no sense. Open a trial takes a lot of time, and if we don't bug them, so the rule of thumb is email every week. I'm not kidding. Once a week, there's no response. We're eagerly waiting for your response. CC everyone involved. You have to put pressure on them because this is so important. So you're the project lead, Haesung. So let's make the timeline Google Doc today and share it with the team. Like, and then that's another reason we could kind of force them. Like, this is the timeline. We can't delay this. This is already, late for the timeline we're trying to stick to. So we want to hold people accountable for what they're doing. Also hold us accountable. Without deadline, it's hard to move things. So okay, so let's do that, Haesung. Any questions on this last
So
try?
give a final yes from Lunit and then send to SRC, or are you still okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay.
If Lunit doesn't respond within 48 hours, still send it to SRC.
Okay.
And then make sure the protocol it's a multi-site trial, and expected site could be around 10. Maybe add that language in there. And then site could involve international site. Maybe put that language in the protocol about the sites.
There currently is no section for the sites. Do I create
So in the
one?
enrollment plan, you can add that, or enrollment, or yeah. It's usually in the enrollment or something like that.
Is it?
And then in the protocol, because I told Liam too, but maybe I told you as well, we're not gonna use our own NU Path Core. Remember, we had that meeting, but we decided to use Quest or a third party So we're just gonna send out to the third party the H&E slide and have them scan it and have them send the picture file to Lunit directly. That way, it's same process for every site.
Yeah.
So let
That's
me ask
clear
you,
already.
Liam, did you make that clear to the Pathcore team? Our new plan? Liam, are you able to? Maybe he's not able to talk. Okay, just Haesung, you just get in touch with Liam, okay? Later.
Um,
Okay, next.
well, I mean, I'm just still looking at the protocol and I'm still wondering where I need to put the site. Do I
Wanna
put it in
share
the
your screen?
eligibility section or the screening plan section?
Can you share your screen? I'll tell you
Sure.
where.
Wait 1 second. Wait, let me try this again. Okay. Do you see it? Okay.
Introduction, screening, treatment plan, study procedure, endpoint assessment. Can you go down? That's for drug information, statistical correlative study management reference, investigator
Oh,
obligation
instructions. Yeah.
for participating sites. There's usually can you go up? Oh yeah, here, sample size and accrual. Go down. Oh, this is the statistical consideration. So in the accrual 54, you can add, like a note. The accrual will, happen in multiple institutions.
Like after this,
Sample size, that's just one.
this is the stat section.
It's purely statistical. All right, can you go up? Go back to the contents. Go up. Objective, eligibility, regulatory, overview, treatment plan, study procedures. What is study procedures?
It's the graph right there.
Oh, just the graph. Okay, go back. Exploratory studies,
Um,
study schema. Intervention. Regulatory criteria. Okay, so I'll go back. Go down. So I so statistical consideration. Just make accrual 10.2. And in the accrual, you can so what did we decide on? Oh, so considering accrual, so it's 10% dropout rate, 113. So remind me, Lunit score 20 was selected, and in the pan tumor analysis, what was the percentage across tumor type that IO score is above 20%? Was it 30%, Hesong?
35%,
35?
I believe so.
Okay, so in the accrual, this is what you're gonna write. In order to accrue 113 patients, we will need to screen about how many patients based on the 35%. Just put that reference of that paper.
I think that should be in the pre-screening plan, actually. Or, oh, this is. Oh.
Mm.
Do I put it here? Or, I mean, it's already
No.
kind of stated that we're gonna do it.
Yeah. So I want it to be in a statistical section.
Okay.
So cite that it's not paper yet, so I think it's still abstract. So cite that abstract. And come up with that number we are expecting to screen, to say approximately that number. So that's 113 divided by, if it's 35%, to put that exact number that was cited in that paper and divide that by 0.35, then you'll get that number, right? And then you don't have to write number 10, but you just like we plan to accrue these patients in multiple sites, including in international and including international sites. So something like that. Yeah. That's kind of, the language that I would add. Okay. So that's the last trial.
I had a meeting with the Tempest Discovery team yesterday, and they had some questions. One second. So they proposed these three groups, like mucinous, lipidic, and other, just anything not including mucinous or lipidic. But I thought that wasn't correct because what we wanted was mucinous versus non-mucinous, as well as lipidic versus non-mucinous or non-lipidic. But they said having those two separate groups is not feasible for analysis because there will be many overlaps between non-mucinous and non-lipidic. And so they wanted us to choose between mucinous versus non-mucinous and lipidic versus non-lipidic. And I, it's kind of tricky because even among minimally invasive adenocarcinoma, there's mucinous versus non-mucinous. And then in fully invasive, there's mucinous versus non-mucinous.
Mm-hmm.
So mucinous is, I feel like it's a much broader category.
Mm-hmm.
And lipidic is just solely invasive adenocarcinoma. But among those different types, there are like well, this is like completely invasive non-mucinous adenocarcinoma, but remember there are also papillary and enteric and other different types of invasive non-mucinous adenocarcinoma. So this is a lot more specific than mucinous adenocarcinoma, is what I'm trying to say.
Uh-huh. What is your suggestion? How would you respond to their question?
Well, I think the best is to do invasive mucinous versus non-invasive mucinous, but the diagnoses aren't specific enough to separate between invasive versus minimally invasive mucinous. So even the diagnosis isn't very specific.
So, knowing that limitation, what would you do?
I'm not sure. I think the WHO category is just very confusing, and there's
Yeah.
a lot of limitations with the Tempest diagnosis, like
Yeah.
the diagnosis codes.
So welcome to real world. This is what we're dealing with. Imperfect world, imperfect annotation. It's hard to go back and look at our slides ourselves, ask the pathologist to correct it based on the accurate WHO classification. So we have to work with what we have, understanding the full capacity. Some people work with the billing codes. Remember, sometimes billing code is all you got, and you never know if that's accurate or not. So this is why we're kind of working in the dark, and we might not have. So that's why doing clinical study is so hard, and you would rather just work with rat or mouse. You can control the whole environment, you can manipulate the gene, you can have a control group, an experiment group. There you go, you have a very pure, clean result you can interpret. Now when you deal with data like this, you're so frustrated. Like, like even if I get the data, am I going to believe this data, and what is the actual meaning out of it? Okay, so this is a problem. But look at the brighter side. Having access to this type of data, and this is the real world problem. We're going to have to deal with it. And then the other side is, with all these shortcomings, if we find something that is showing any meaningful correlation, this is likely to be true. Sometimes it could be noise, but if you find that in two independent cohorts, or doing a strong association despite all the noise that can exist, it's likely to be true. It's still speculation though, but it's hypothesis generating. So you can, based on it, you can design a study to really ask that specific question that you discovered, coming from dirty data. But it has to start somewhere. You got to work with what you have. At some point, you keep asking for data and you're kind of stuck. Like, this is the cleanest data you can get, and it's still garbage. All right. So knowing all that, and knowing all the background knowledge you've gained so far, what would you do, Haesung? We can't just say, we want to stop here because we don't have clean data.
I don't, because I wasn't the one who wrote the proposal. Like, I'm just not still sure why we're so focused on lipidics specifically and mucinous specifically. Is it just because the dream trial patients mostly had invasive mucinous and lipidic predominant adenocarcinoma?
So this is really important. Have question. If you're not sure why you're involved, this is why we're doing this study. You don't have to be the project lead. Like if you, let's say you're collecting data, you're moving the project forward, and you're not convinced, you can't convince yourself why we're doing it. Keep reading. Have, ask me, Dr. Che, why are you doing this? I remember Andrew said, Dr. Che, why are we doing radiomics? What is radiomics? He couldn't get it. He couldn't get it. It's fine to ask those questions. I think it's the most important question. So let me try to answer your question, Haesung. Number one, a lot of mucinous tumors, they're mucinous because they're the mucinous tumors usually are not so number one, most mucinous tumors are lipidic. Mucinous tumors are bronchoalveolar in its spread pattern. Mucinous are not typically most mucinous have spread through airway, a lot of them. That's number one. I'm not saying 100%. Number two, mucinous are usually refractory to chemo immunotargeted. If you have NRG1 fusion, maybe not. So we want to be able to better understand what is the driver of mucinous tumor. So that's why we are interested in mucinous. And they seem to be the one that can benefit from double lung transplant. Now going to lipidic, even if they're not mucinous, some are just lipidic in its nature. And they're the one that tends to spread through airway. STAS, right? STAS. And I agree that minimally invasive inside to these will have really good prognosis. So I do, like you said, want to limit to invasive, but some it's not clear whether it's invasive or not. So we'll just have to work with what we have. We just have to assume some certain things, and we have to just allow some noise to be there, because it's not feasible to filter them out. But lipidic also, for the same reason I told you about mucinous, is important. So I would suggest within invasive, if we can look at mucinous versus non-mucinous, I think that's okay. Within invasive, if we can look at lipidic versus non-lipidic, I think that's okay. Other adenocarcinoma, mucinous can be, but if you're mucinous, it's like I said, it's likely to be lipidic. So lipidic can have mucinous or non-mucinous. What I noticed that if you have mucinous tumor, they don't specifically say lipidic because most of mucinous are lipidic. So when I say lipidic, it grows through the bronchoalveolar tree. It's not like a metastatic, like a cannonball. So most mucinous tumors are growing through the mucinous gland, the lining, where the surfactants are secreting. So if you remember our conversation with Dr. Chung Jin Heng from Bundang Seoul National Hospital, most pathologists would agree that's what how they seem to be spreading.
Well, I just want to clarify that lipidic adenocarcinoma here is categorized as non-mucinous.
Mm-hmm.
And what we want is invasive mucinous, but this is also unclear when we involve mixed types.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So let's say if we want to do invasive mucinous versus non-mucinous. So in the perfect world or ideal world, what I would want is stats versus no stats. That's gonna be really good. But I realize that's impossible. To define stats, you need normal tissue, and I learned all that through Dr. Chung. It's impossible. Now, the next best thing, I'm sure because of glandular pathology that mucinous will have very different genes and mutations as opposed to non-mucinous. It's like pancreatic cancer in lung. Okay.
Yeah, we have this JTO paper that shows the genetic and survival characteristics of invasive mucinous.
So let's see how they did they put any, how did they characterize the control?
Well, it looks like they didn't have a control. Okay, so they did have a total of 269 non-mucinous.
As a control group for
Surgical
survival
research.
analysis. All patients underwent survival. So they did it with the surgical, and then TCGA historic review of each cases were done. So they actually looked at each TCGA slide. That's good. Let's read what they actually did, how they actually compared it. Survivorship comparison study mucinous, non-mucinous with 4 controls per case. That's great. For us, we're just gonna work with whatever Tempest non-control they have as per the statistical validation. Prior data indicated that the overall 5-year survival rate control is 60%. If the survival rate among mucinous cases 80%. Oh, so they have the hypothesis. Okay. So what was the actual result of the survival? Can you go to the survival? Okay, survival analysis limited to stage 1 to 3A. And as expected, clear stratification between stage 1 to 3, of course. And when comparing, there was no statistically significant difference in overall survival when combining all stages. 5-year overall survival rate for patient mucinous were 71, 67. So let's look at the graph. So this is, yeah, cumulative survival, I guess, recurrence-free survival and overall survival, stage 1 to 3 all combined. Okay. You go back. So these are all completely resected patients.
Yes, for curative purposes.
Did they look at by stage? Let's see.
There were no difference.
No, no
Oh,
difference between
Mm.
stage specific. Okay. Only 17% had recurrence that was limited to the lungs. No patient with recurrent disease had X. So 17% recurred. So Haesung, I think this is a valuable statement. Remember that for your paper as well for any future double lung transplant. I think this is a valuable. No patient with recurrent disease had extrapulmonary recurrence.
Mm.
I
That's
think
the stats you were talking about.
yeah, because mucinous tend to spread through airway. I'm saying I'm not saying some, it's the only way, but when it gets to stage 4, I've seen mucinous. Remember patient O, 30-year-old Korean female. She had terrible bone metastasis. Then that was mucinous tumor. But I believe there's mucinous that are lipidic that are not lipidic. But I think if they're stage 1 to 3, so that's how they were discovered. So they're a little different than stage 4. So anyway, I send me this paper as well as this quote because I want to use it for future reference for our double lung transplant, and that's a pretty good evidence out there that if the recurrence going to happen, it's going to happen in the lung. And then that's true for mucinous. What I'm saying is for that, can you show me that paper for the non-mucinous? If you separate them into lipidic and non-lipidic, same might be true in the lipidic. So it's the control is what? By contrast, 192 stage 1 patient with non-mucinous, 38 had recurrence disease. Site for 13 patients were limited to lung, 34, but 25% presented with at least one extrapulmonary site of metastasis. That's 65% versus 0%. So that's a big difference. But this is just stage 1. What about stage 2, 3? Can you
We
find
don't
it?
mention.
Is there data?
No.
Shouldn't they have that in supplemental? Oh, this is by stage. Stage
But
1, 2, 3. Okay, right?
I
Yeah,
think this combines all patients, so mucinous and non-mucinous.
right. And this is stage
It's
1.
just histology. Yeah.
Looks like, yeah, they're similar. Okay. Oh, they don't have stage 2 and 3?
No,
That's odd.
it's only stage 1.
Why would they do that?
I can't find stage 2 or 3.
Oh, is it because of the sample size that most of them are stage 1? Can you show me table 1 with their stage distribution? Oh, maybe that's why. Look, 2 and 3 is less patient, right?
Yeah,
So at that point, there's so many randomness that they didn't even bother to do it.
it's even 0.
That's why. Okay. For the non-mucinous, did this paper try to dissect the control? Like what's non-mucinous? Like what do you actually have there?
Oh.
Is there any hint of that?
I
Okay.
mean, I'm searching lipidic and then nothing's showing up. Like
Oh, can you go back to that
papillary.
sentence? I want to look at that. The first page sentence that you, the lipidic, the very first one.
Yeah, I'm trying to. Oh,
Yeah, this one. So pancreatic cancer
pancreatic.
metastatic to lung often exhibit mucinous lipidic pattern and can be difficult to differentiate from primary invasive mucinous adenocarcinoma of lung for the pathologist. So this is very true. This is how pancreatic biliary tract cancers yeah, and then the KRAS, can you show the KRAS distribution, this graph? And this is a great lesson. There must be a paper, figure or table about the KRAS mutation they found. Oh, maybe this one. Okay. Pie chart showing
Yeah.
the fraction of mucinous adenocarcinoma. So A is that all mucinous?
Yes, it's all mucinous.
And A
So
is
this is KRAS
right
and this is within KRAS.
within KRAS. So the mucinous, the KRAS, so in most cases, KRAS is about 20, well, it could be 30, 40%. This is 60% with other things happening. Energy fusion is like 7%, which is a lot. Now you can see that it's G12D and V. C is more common in non-mucinous. So I think we'll discover something very similar. So Haesung, do you know what I told Tarek? Do you know my fellow from Turkey? Tarek?
I yeah, I know him. What you tell him?
Yeah, so I told him to write a protocol. Let's treat mucinous lung cancer like pancreatic cancer because their genomic landscape is so similar. So what do we give to pancreatic cancer patients? It's FOLFIRINOX. So let's give FOLFIRINOX to all our mucinous lung cancer patients.
Mm.
So he's writing that protocol right now. But this paper hasn't shown any transcriptional landscape difference, or is it just mutational difference?
I think it's just mutation because they just use TCGA.
So I don't know if how many of our Tempest data patients data will have the RNA data, but that any RNA data we'll have access to will be important. We can do the gene expression analysis for that, which they haven't done here. I think we will see something similar with KRAS. What I want to see is spread through airway related genes and their pathway. And if we know what they are, we can give targeted therapy targeting those genes to prevent that from happening. I don't think, well, here it's more KRAS. Hmm.
So just to use this is because we can use this as like the background knowledge, I think it would be cleaner to do mucinous versus non-mucinous and try to stratify them by stage.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't think we can differentiate them by invasive versus minimally invasive,
Mm-hmm.
but
Mm-hmm.
maybe we can focus on like the higher stages.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So by definition, like stage 2, 3, you're more likely gonna get invasive ones.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I agree with you. Let's do mucinous, non-mucinous, just like this paper did. But I also want to do two more analysis. One is how so that's mucin, but let's among non-mucinous. Well, can you go back to that WHO?
Uh, yeah, I have it. Well, I mean, we can do mucinous versus non-mucinous and then ask them to give us all the subtypes if they have the info.
Mhm. So within, where's that? Minimally, so adenocarcinoma, minimally invasive, invasive non-mucinous, invasive mucinous. Mm. Okay, I'll give you a rule of thumb. So we're, we can, once we have the data, we can analyze it any way we want. So I'll give you one. The first one would be mucinous versus non-mucinous, period. That's what we're gonna do.
Mhm.
Number two, within non-mucinous, which is gonna be the first two category, within non-mucinous, and knowing that we're not gonna able to differentiate invasive versus minimally invasive. Within non-mucinous, can we separate lipidic versus non-lipidic? Okay, let's do that.
Yep.
Okay, and then what we want to do is mucinous and lipidic combined versus other as a third analysis. Now, the rule of thumb to do all this, because you're gonna run into lipidic and SNR, papillary and lipidic, you're gonna run into invasive mucinous and non-mucinous. You're gonna run into all different categories. Before that, did Tempest say yes to, are they able to give us the pathology report for
Oh,
people?
no,
No?
that's not available.
Mm. So we will have access to their own categories. They define the categories of these patients. This is
Yeah,
WHO category, but do Tempest have their own category? If they can't give
I
us raw diagnosis.
yeah, but I think but some of I'm imagining that many of these or a lot of them has just been diagnosed with like the previous versions of the classification. Like if they gave me a few raw data and I saw like bronchoalveolar carcinoma, which is like an outdated term. So I don't
Right.
believe that a lot of them has been based on the most recent WHO classification.
Yeah. So I would say bronchial alveolar, and if there's any mention of mucinous, we'll go to mucinous category, okay? If they say bronchoalveolar and they don't mention anything about mucinous, just assume there's no mucin and
Mhm.
send it to lipidic category. That's how you're gonna classify old terminology for our study purpose. And we don't know if that's in situ, minimally invasive, it's okay.
Well, what about here, like within non-mucinous? So if
Mm.
it says BAC, then it's lipidic?
Which
Because
one are you?
BAC is a very broad
Yeah,
term.
BAC is a very inclusive term. But the assumption is this. In situ, minimally invasive, usually won't get to a point where the oncologist, if oncologist is sending it to Tempus, they're usually stage 4.
Mhm.
If Tempus gets BAC as a diagnosis, it's probably invasive. We're not dealing with stage 1 cancers, just like, in that Korean paper. These are patients who's had a lot of therapy, it's not working, they want to find the clinical trial, so they're sent to a Tempus. So this is a real world, 90% stage 3-4 patients. So our concern for like BAC with, inside to minimally invasive is pretty low. I'm not really concerned about that.
Mhm.
Their disease is aggressive enough to be sent to Tempus. So when you run across BAC, like I said, if it mentions mucin, put it in the mucinous category. If it mentions, there's no mention of mucin, assume there is no mucin and put it in lipidic category.
But I mean, it could be non-lipidic too, though. That's what I'm concerned about.
Right, but acinar papillary don't usually spread like BAC. It spread like through the bronchial alveolar. And we have to make few assumptions here, otherwise we can't do. And in DART, we made compromise. We're gonna stick to old terminology, BAC. So we can go that path too. We can use BAC instead of lipidic and have lipidic go into BAC category. Because we're dealing with 2 WHO classifications here. So we need to assume certain things and translate. So I would, for this, I would do lipidic for BAC.
I mean, do we have like a paper to back that up?
You can look for those
Because
papers.
BAC is a very heterogeneous, like there are many papers about how BAC is a very heterogeneous, histology,
Maybe
so I just don't.
you can look for papers how BAC can be separated into lipidic, acinar, papillary. I mean, you don't have to do that now, but it will take time. So lipidic to me is very similar to spread through airway. BAC to me is spread through airway. It's not nodal, it's not vascular, just like it says. Because it's spread through airway, it looks like pneumonia. It spreads like a tree. And to me, that's lipidic, and that's bronchoalveolar. So maybe you can look for papers that dissects lipidic into BAC into these new categories. If you can't find paper, we can't. We just have to go by the definition. At least that's my understanding. But definitely, if we can find paper to back it up, that would be better.
And if we can't, then just assume that BAC is just like lipidic predominant adenocarcinoma.
Yeah, go back to that because that's the conventional wisdom is, can you show me that? Yeah. So BAC or adenocarcinoma with lipidic growth. So or means they identify two different terms. Do you understand? Bronchoalveolar carcinoma equals adenocarcinoma with lipidic growth. Now, bronchoalveolar carcinoma with lipidic growth is what I'm talking about, but I don't know if it's truly the same as WHO classified lipidic adenocarcinoma, non-mucinous adenocarcinoma. It might be different because that's a specific terminology specified by WHO. But that's probably best we can do. But still look for data and let me know. But we have to make decision on what we're gonna do with Tempus data today. So that's my recommendation with the BAC. Now the last rule is you're gonna have, because pathologists gonna have mixed, you're gonna have a category of mixed mucinous, non-mucinous, lipidic with acinar, lipidic with papillary, and all that stuff. Some pathologists are kind enough to say predominantly or more than 50% lipidic, or more than 50% mucinous, things like that. So our rule of thumb, but we can't just throw out mixed. I don't want to do that. Okay, it's a valuable data. So what I would prefer is go by the 50% rule, or the predominant rule. Anything with mixed that mentions what's more predominant, go with that. Okay, go with
We
that.
don't have that data, unfortunately. We asked previously, and it's
So there is
kind of
zero mixed.
sorry.
You don't think
Well,
there's
because like the
mixed?
diagnosis coding was done that way, and we don't have the path report to know whether it's like 60% or something like that.
But in their classification, do you think they don't have any mixed category?
Oh no, they do, but
They
we're
do.
not sure how much percent each contributes to this
Okay.
mixed definition.
Not even predominant. Okay, if we don't have that data, this is best we can do. This is called sensitivity analysis. So mixed category will first go into our category of interest, mucinous, lipidic, put that into a category of interest. So this is like at least any component analysis versus other, okay? And see what we get. And then you want to be pure, so get rid of all the mixed because it will be a noise, and just do a pure known mucinous, known non-mucinous, so 0%. So we're going to do a sensitivity analysis where we will include at least any component to our, so I told you about three analysis we're going to do: mucinous, non-mucinous, non-mucinous lipidic versus non-mucinous non-lipidic. Number three, mucinous lipidic combined versus everything else. So in that we're going to do two separate approach where we're going to mix, you're going to add mixed into the group of interest approach versus just ignore mixed completely in all those three analysis. So that's called sensitivity analysis. See what happens when you add them or and ignore them. Do you get it? So we're gonna do
Yeah, I think
analysis.
I don't think we have like mixed lipidic and papillary, that kind of stuff. We only have mixed mucinous and non-mucinous. So this will only be relevant to the analysis that includes mucinous.
Okay,
I'm assuming.
okay. So then that's what we have to do. My hope is in non-mucinous, we'll have lipidic and non-lipidic data, right?
Right.
That might
Well, I mean, we're hoping. We
we're
don't know.
hoping, but maybe that's not even clear. So I gave you basic instructions, but you're like you said, look for the evidence, back it up and all that, and let me know real time. We can always adjust, and this is coming from my experience, but I'm not up to date on everything that's happening. So, any questions on this?
I mean, I'll discuss with Jen and see what we can do.
Yeah, so and then the other thing is enteric type. Sometimes there's a pneumonic type or something, colloid. You know, and enteric type is so,
This
it
one.
looks like colorectal or pancreatic cancer. That's what people call it. It looks like a GI cancer, but there's no GI tumor. So I would do sensitivity analysis for these, include them. I think they're adenocarcinoma. Uh, I I don't know what to do with enteric type. Maybe because I don't know enough. I feel like enteric type can be mucinous, but it's not classified as mucinous. So when you do the third analysis where you combine mucin lipidic, I feel like I wanna do sensitivity analysis with at least the colloid and enteric type, where you wanna add them to that, because these are the group that also is kind of in that category, lipidic and mucinous like. So I would I don't know how many they are. I would see if we can include them in the analysis too.
Well, the thing is, like, according to this classification, these are separate categories. So if we're analyzing mucinous versus non-mucinous, then these shouldn't be part of them.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying only for the third analysis, where I said combine mucinous and lipidic in a disease of
But for
interest.
the other types, like non-mucinous, non-lipidic,
Yeah, so when we do that, I feel like, so do that with purely mucinous and lipidic per this category. But within the third analysis, do a sensitivity analysis where you're adding colloid and enteric type into the mucinous lipidic type. Because that's, because biology wise, I think they will behave more like mucinous type. It's like if you want to call it their GI tumor like type, pancreatic cancer like type. So it would make more sense to do a pure group analysis, and the next one including colloid and enteric type in that disease group and see what happens. Do you understand? So it's more like a supplemental figure type of analysis. I don't know how many we will get. We might get one or two, and that doesn't mean anything, then we'll drop.
Okay, so mucinous plus lipidic, mucinous plus lipidic plus colloid plus enteric versus others.
Yeah, that will be the second analysis. Not always like that, but just do one adding it, do one without adding it.
Okay, well, the thing is, like, they have all the control with this data, so I'll just discuss all these things with them and see what we can do realistically.
Yeah. But at least you know what we're interested. Because I don't want them to be in the other group. And if they have a strong GI tumor-like signature, it's gonna be a big noise. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then, um, I think they asked if we want to do if so they wanted us just to like simplify and choose between strict and loose definition, and I answered strict, and I think that's what we should do. Otherwise, there's just too much noise.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Right.
So why don't you, same thing. I love it when we write this out. So I told you about 3 analysis, and then I told you about the sensitivity analysis we're gonna do for mixed, and then sensitivity analysis we're gonna do for the colloid and enteric. So why don't you write that out? And make the separate Google Doc, share it with me, and you can share that with the Tempest group. This is what our plan for future analysis. Because I say to you, this is
No,
recorded,
I'm
but
writing everything down. Yeah.
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
gonna send them an email as well.
yeah, but let's share it so that we can refer to it.
All right. Thank
Okay,
you.
good. Um, the next Tempest project, any updates?
No, because we don't have enough. We didn't submit it to the A's yet because, as I told you, the subgroups were only 1 to 3 patients. So we thought even the positives were false positives. We just don't have enough patients.
Oh, are you talking about Stas, the analysis you did with Stas?
Yeah, with the radiant patients.
What I'm confused. What project are you talking about?
This is the radiomics patient. We looked at their tempest data
Oh,
and
the
see,
radiomics patient data, and you looked at to see how many patients actually has Tempest data?
right, yeah. And so there were just not enough patients.
Not enough patient. Was it like 10%?
Like 20. I mean, the radiomics, so at that time we had 150.
Uh-huh.
Sorry, I'm like forgetting the exact numbers. Oh wait, 207 patients-ish, 205 patients, and then among them, 50 of them had tempest data. And so by subgrouping them, it was just too small numbers to really do a meaningful analysis.
Hmm. Yeah, that's a problem. Okay. I gotta answer some pages. Let's take 10-minute break. And then Haesung, when we come back, let's talk about the stats, the tumor heterogeneity. Let's do what we need to do. Let's talk about the future plans. Did Stats get back to you recently? I don't know. He's been busy, but
I mean, we have a meeting coming up on Wednesday, but I just have an interview during that time. So I told Sarah that I won't be able to attend, and she's like, okay, I'll just do it with staff.
okay. Well, let's take a break. We'll get back to that. Thank you. Okay, I am back. Okay, let's wrap up. Haesung. So for tumor heterogeneity, can you remind me what our plan is?
Yes. Like I said, Wednesday we're supposed to have a meeting, but I have an interview that day, like during that time. So I told Sarah and she said, okay, that's fine. I'll just meet with the stats and see what, yeah. And stuff like that, and see.
It's echoing, so I didn't quite get what you said, sorry.
Uh, I can tell you later. I mean, so Wednesday we're supposed to have a meeting, but during that time I have an interview. And
Okay,
so I'm not able to attend, but they still wanted to proceed, and so the team will meet with staff and have a
okay,
discussion.
and then you'll get update from him later, okay.
Yes.
So where are we in terms of, when, do you know, what's the process? What,
Well, I think the onboarding process took time for staff. Um,
are you done
but
with your onboarding?
yes,
Okay. And did they respond to our request for the data? Or,
I think that's what they're um, trying to like clarify, I guess, during the meeting.
so do you know what data we're requesting, and are they clear on that? Just like the mucinous, like I want to make sure they know exactly what to pull. Do you need any guidance on that?
I don't think so, because um, I mean, our proposal got accepted.
Uh-huh.
I don't know. We'll see how the meeting goes.
Okay. So so after onboarding, um um so let's do this. Um for the journal clubs, why don't you present one paper, um one or two paper relevant to, so you have two projects. One is the mucinous project. Let's just call it mucinous project, and the other one is the heterogeneity project. So let's alternate, um starting from next week. Let's see if we can find the latest and most comprehensive, whatever paper that you think would have the most impact in the field that sort of is related to our topic. And we can start that with the mucinous. I mean, you just share that paper, but whatever you feel like is airway spread or transcriptomic analysis, analysis, anything. It can be remotely related. It could be a paper that you have questions for, or if it could be a paper you know that you're definitely going to cite in the discussion. Whatever that is, let's discuss that together. So a paper, one or two for each topic. Let's alternate starting from next week. Let's do a journal club on those papers. So 1 week would be the mucinous project. The other week would be the heterogeneity project. So this would save time when you actually write discussion on the paper on these projects. So let's do that. Let's do some background studying and at least have some idea on how we're going to do analysis, because these papers will tell us what kind of analysis they've done. Some things we can learn from, something we can criticize they've done it wrong way. So let's do that. Starting from next week. And I'm serious when I say this. Let's email Tempest weekly basis, like give us update on where you are on sending us the data. We understand there's an onboarding process, but it's just a separate thing, getting the data ready in a format that we can analyze. I think the pulling of the data will take time, so always CC me so that I can add an extra pressure. Like I said, I feel like it's taking too long. So let's focus on getting the data for the heterogeneity. And then once we get the data, let's also do a journal club brainstorm on how we should analyze the data. And what are the other like association we're gonna focus on? How are they going to deliver data, like the TMB, tumor heterogeneity index, all that. Let's make sure we know exactly what to do when we actually get the database. So let's continue to work on that. Any questions on that?
I'm sure we'll discuss on Wednesday, so I'll let you know.
Okay. So that's the heterogeneity project. Anything else?
That's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. So I guess once this is done, I know you have a transplant paper, but again, it's interesting paper, but we have other priorities, so let's get other things moving. And then, hopefully you'll have chance to wrap up that project. I do think that, scientifically it's interesting, so let's not forget that. Okay. All right, let's move on to Uni. Can you give us update on what you've been doing?
Sure. So, I'm doing the second spring of ADW. I almost finished 90 patients, including the previous data collected, which were collected by other doctors. And I'm gonna work on the SOP and make a video for a kind of warm hand up. There's several questions I have now. As we are looking for the non-small cell carcinoma, I know that there are many classification, and when I see today the WHO classification, there are more than this. So currently we're looking the histology like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 like this. There's not even a large cell, and so I would like to ask whether you want to put more like their classification here, or do you want to mention like each pathology report in other like making another columns and like explain the detail about it? Or is this enough for like classification for now?
So I guess for current we're putting large cell in the other category, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So number one, carcinoid tumor and carcinomas of salivary gland type.
Yeah.
should be excluded
All right, okay.
because there are very different disease entity.
Mhm.
And I think it makes sense to add large cell.
Mm,
Now,
okay.
in large cell, there are different variants. Um, mm, okay. When we extracted data, did we extract by lung cancer or non-small cell lung cancer? Do you know? Or the with the
All lung cancer. But
Mm,
for the first screening, I think I will like put all the
Mm.
like not 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 in detail, but a kind of histology type, like whether
Mhm.
it's a small cell lung cancer or not.
Mhm.
Like so so
So,
we have
so
yeah.
let me ask Will, what did you do with small cell lung cancer, Will?
I was told that we had to like exclude all the small cell cancers
Mhm.
because I was told that we are only focusing on small cell cancers. So yeah, the patients that were already screened, they were categorized all under non-small cell lung cancer.
So when you exclude them, did you tag them as small cell or you just trashed it?
Um, we so in my case, I just like left it, I just blacked it out, just in case we might need it. But I'm not sure if other undergrads did it as well. But from now on, like the other cancers that are not like non-small cell lung cancer, they're getting blacked out just in case we might like need some of them to include in the list.
Mm. So, I think, and I apologize for changing the direction. We are only interested in non-small cell for the time being, but I think so much research is also going on in the field of small cell. I think if we can collect small cell data, it will be used for future research purpose. So I think it makes more sense to at least tag it as small cell, and later we can always extract that later, because some are not annotated. I guess we pulled it under lung cancer, and sometimes it's not categorized correctly as small cell. And Uni, the reason I said large cell is important is some large cells are large cell non-neuroendocrine, some are large cell neuroendocrine. And large cell neuroendocrine is the one that behaves like small cell. And Seungmi, you were in clinic with me yesterday, and there was whole discussion like, this is small cell, we want to put the patient on small cell trial. And that issue still hasn't been resolved today. Anyway, so this is the final recommendation. I know, Will, you did tag them as small cell. We don't need to do anything further about small cell other than just tagging as a small cell lung cancer. And everyone was filtered by having immunotherapy. So small cell lung cancer immunotherapy, done deal, fine. Just make sure it's retrievable in the future. It's tagged as under small cell, yes or no, or whatever that is. Small cell, just and Will, at your level, the first screen, so the second screening portion, I guess it won't get to Dr. Uni because small cell, you don't even have to go through the chart. Maybe you do if you don't have if you need to classify the histology, but if at Will level, everything is so clear, it's marked as small cell, tag it as small cell, does not need second review. But if it's unclear, have Uni review it and tag it as small cell. You don't have to look at anything else you need. So let's make sure it's tagged. And I don't know what other undergrad students have done. But it's your job to tag them as well as a small cell, okay? And Uni, it's your job to confirm it's small cell or non-small cell. And if it's non-small cell, do this. And I would not count, carcinoid or the salivary gland type. I would just exclude them. And they don't need to be even tagged. I'll just not care about them. Pleomorphic, sarcomatoid, those are elements, those are okay. You could I think in the other, so I would add large cell. And then I would say large cell non-neuroendocrine, large cell neuroendocrine. I would put that as a separate category.
Okay.
And make them retrievable, meaning adeno is 1, squamous is 2. So code it, don't write it, code it, have a coding instruction in the below.
Okay.
Code it, and then you have a coding for sarcomatoid or with sarcomatoid features. I think that's also one that we're interested. Adeno is okay. Adeno has the BAC, everything in there. So just leave adeno as one big category is okay. Poorly differentiated is okay. And anything that doesn't belong to what we discussed is others. But what I said is don't put carcinoid salivary in the others category. Just we don't care about them. And just tag small cell as small cell. We're not going to analyze them. We're going to just use that data for future. Okay, but good question. And
Next
you will
one,
write that in the SOP so that whoever comes
Yeah.
next to you, everything is clear.
I will do.
Same thing, Will, if you work on the SOP for the first screening, everything you learn, I know you're gonna be here for just 1 more month. So work on the SOP. So that will be your legacy.
Yeah, I actually developed one, but I'll just like add like, just some more details on to, just clarify all the stuff.
Can I move on to the next one?
Mm-hmm.
So there is a patient who diagnosed stage 3 in 2016. The patient already got a 4 cycle of chemotherapy and then got a surgery and RT. And 4 years later, they found a new lung nodules and brain metastasis, which the stage increased to stage 4. So the patient got a gamma knife and the doctor started pembrolizumab. So here, and after that, patient had a progression of disease. There was a new region in the brain. So the doctor added carbapenem and pemetrexed, and 2 months later, discontinue carboplatin. So in this case, can we say this one, pembrolizumab that was started in November 2020 as first line, and the next, and in March as a second line of therapy? Or do we need to count from the beginning? So I was confused about that, and we discussed this previously, that whenever the patient had a new stage, that we have to tag the new stage and then
Yeah.
start it from there.
Yeah.
So here, can we say this pembrolizumab as our first line, and then when we add a carboplatin and methotrexate as a second line? Or can you just say because there was pembrolizumab was never discontinued, can you say all of these as a first line? Because here, when we name of the immunotherapy regimen, we need to describe all the regimen, but there was a different, like a time period with a different regimen. So I was confused about this, and I want to ask you about it.
I see. So question, POD, left frontal pole. What is that? Left frontal pole, is it
It's a brain. Is that like I'm not sure. I just like a copy and paste of the imaging study report. So it's a brain, like there was a new region in the brain.
okay. So if there, let's say, I'll give you an answer. So for the stage 3 regimen, it's the cispem. For stage 4, the first line is pembrolizumab. Now, because there's a progression, I would call this carbopen-pembro as a second regimen, even though pembro was continued, just because there was progression. So that's my interpretation of this case. Let's say there wasn't a progression. With Gamma Knife, I don't want to give chemo along with Gamma Knife. So a lot of times I would give pembro alone and just delay adding carbopen. In this case, it was delayed like 4 months. So and then patient had progression on just pembrolizumab alone. So that's why I'm gonna separate this as pembrolizumab first line and carbopen pembro as the second line. And let's say there wasn't progression, I'm just gonna call this carbopen pembro, but then carbopen was started, little bit later, but still count this combo 1 regimen first line.
I see.
So this is why clinical interpretation, it's an art. There's no clear answer, but definitely the disease expert can make the best classification of what we need to do. So
Thank you. That's clear. Excellent. So I made a TNM stages at stage of diagnosis and stage when the patient got an index therapy, like prior to getting an index therapy. And there's another question for PD-L1. For assessing the PD-L1 like percentage, there are several assays. And when I look it up, like some of them shows tumor cell PD-L1, some of them like shows like immune cells PD-L1, and they are using a different assay. And when I look up to a YouTube video about this, they said the number is not interchangeable because they're using a different drug for each assay. So is it really helpful to like just logging the number here, even though it's not interchangeable.
I love it. I love it. I can see that you're inquisitive and I love the fact that you watched the YouTube video and researched and made this table. This is beautiful. So I think I wrote a review paper on PDL1. You can read that. Okay. So the answer is yes, we cannot use it interchangeably, but for the purpose, so this is the same thing I told Hesong. Real world data, it's not uniform. It's not same. It's not the same pathologist. It's not the same machine that ran it. Even at Northwestern University, we do it our way. We don't. So Ventan, let's say you buy SP2, SP142. It's what our institution uses, but we don't use their package. We have our own pathology department developed way of staining. Even with the same antibody, the staining algorithm is different. So it's not going to have the same result as the usual SP142. So it's hard to calibrate for all that difference. Thereby, we're just going to report what we have. See?
Okay.
But see, we know all these differences, and Ventana is gonna be like 10%, while DACO is gonna be 90%. And the treatment decision is gonna be vastly different. So as an oncologist and pathologist, we fully understand that ambiguity, the clinical ambiguity, okay? No, most people don't know. That's the nuance we're dealing with. So that's why we want to come up with a better, accurate. And even if you have an accurate PDL1, it doesn't mean you're gonna respond either. So there's so many variables we cannot control. So my ideal answer is they're all different. We shouldn't record it the same way. But my practical answer is like whatever you have, just record it.
Okay.
Now, there's a problem when we have in-house NU PDL1 number, and then I send to Tempest. So Tempest does PDL1. So that Tempest value may be very different from the NU PDL1.
Okay. No, yeah. I asked her, she had, she don't know how to talk. They're coming and changing carpeting.
Oh, they're changing carpet?
Oh, yeah, and there's things we have to move. But my telephone sent out a message, but I wanted to get this to mention. Because everything on the floor has to be moved. The bookcases have to be cleaned out. They have to move that. It's just a lot. And they're gonna start in your section over here on the 6th of December. So you have to start prepping, yeah.
So what about these will stay, right?
Right, because they can't move these. You can put stuff in the top here.
So over here or inside. So we'll get everything here moved.
Yeah, and then you can put things over here on this as well.
That's okay, okay.
Yeah, okay, over here too, but this can't be moved.
Right,
But anything that can be moved, this can't be moved. So,
okay.
yeah,
So this will be moved, so then.
Yeah.
we'll just clean it, empty it.
yeah.
What about? Oh, yeah, I mean, we can move everything on the top. This is too long. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think with my, you need to. Oh my God.
I gave you the wrong thing. No, I didn't know give it to you. Let me give it to you, Dr. K. Give it. That's kind of tell you what exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about this one?
You know what he told me?
I can't.
He said if you can't clean it out, they'll just work around.
Okay,
If you, you know,
I think this one we could stay.
yeah, they'll just work around. And,
Yeah.
yeah, and this is not too bad.
Okay.
It's just right here. for
Yeah,
you.
I'll just probably move it up
Yeah.
over there.
And then next, I think they're gonna paint next. So this is what they're gonna do. So they're starting over here on 12/6.
So what, but they're gonna do the carpet on the 6th,
Yeah, starting at 6 that evening, so you gotta be ready.
that evening, so I can still work here at
Yeah.
the daytime.
That's what they told me. So I don't know what time I confirm. They're gonna start on 6. It's gonna be after the hours or it's gonna be started actually in the morning. I'll let you know.
Okay.
Yeah, but this is basically what we're gonna do. Yeah.
Thank you.
Well,
All right. So guys, you heard it, so let's start cleaning the bookshelves and whatever is the bottom, let's keep moving them. We don't have to wait till December 6th, but let's do it while we can, today, tomorrow. Okay. Okay, Uni, you can continue.
That's pretty much of it. Thank you.
Oh, so do you have the SOP or with you or?
Yeah, I have a file and I'm working on it.
Okay, just show it to me when it's ready. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, Monica.
So, right. My major thing which I am working on this week is clearing up all the remaining segmentations that are left. I can show it to you. So if you can see. So I have a list of just a minute. So we have previously for AACR, we had 109 patients, including MIP patients and quality control, and also the new segmentation, 63 patients that we had. However, out of the 20 MIP, we only completed 11, so 9 remaining. Quality control, the 6 was remaining, and around 20 remaining for the new 63 patients that we had. So I'm working out on this. I've finished the quality control, almost done with the MIP, and then my next, which I plan to finish this week, is for the new 63 segmentations that's remaining. And then after I'm finished with all the segmentations, I plan to send all the data to Dr. Yuri so that we can have a final list of patients and final data set, which he will be able to run the files on, and then I start writing up for the manuscript. So I'm just trying to finalize a final list. This is the list of patients that has been excluded until now. And I'm trying to go through each and everything to see if it is a fixable problem from our side. That we can go ahead, because in the end, the more number of patients we're able to include, the better it is for our study. So I'm working on that this week, and also because the segmentation takes quite some time. So I'm trying to finish that by the end of this week, finish everything, and then send it to Dr. Yuri. And I've informed him about that as well. So that's pretty much I've been working on this week. As for the draft, which Dr. Gion had written, for the manuscript, I'm not sure why, but she said she will not be sharing it with us, and she wants us to start writing up on our own. And Seong and Dr. Sally apparently will also not be working on further for the project. I don't know if they've discussed it with you or not, but Seong, until she comes back full time to the lab, she wants to finish her steps and everything. So she just wants to stay a little away. I don't know for Sally. Seong
Yeah,
said she might not be able to work up.
Right,
So-
right, right. So both of them did discuss that they won't be able to work on any projects until they are able to return to our lab in person.
Yes, yes.
So I understand, they have other priorities. So yeah, so we have to work with what we have and people who are in the lab.
So I just plan to finish all the segmentations, making the final list of the patients and sending them.
Mhm.
Because after that, it will just be on Dr. Yuri's part to run the data and everything. And in the meantime, I can start working on writing the manuscript, like the introduction.
Right.
and-
Right. So you continue to read the radiomics paper, the introduction, the methods, and some part of the discussion that talks about the existing literature. You can even start writing that now. But obviously getting the data clean and processed and all that's priority. So
So there's been a lot of confusion because there's always a different person working on the radiomics.
mhm.
So sometimes it's like a lot of confusion that keeps happening. So I'm trying to minimize that.
Welcome to my
best
world.
way
I
possible.
try to yeah. That's
Yes.
why it's always good. So every lab you go, there's always one project manager that does the project for at least 2 years. So if you don't have 2-year commitment, you don't allow the people to come into your lab. That's usually the case for every lab. And then you have like undergrad students, residents that they come and go a few months, they want to experience what research looks like, but they're not kind of involved as like a project lead. Like Monica, you're here for a few months and you're a project lead. Like you're in charge of project, who's doing what, and understand the whole gamut of the project. And that's a beautiful experience then rather than people telling you to do, oh, make this figure on, just get this, extract this data, just but you running the whole show is a precious experience. So I know it's hard, and everyone does it in different style. Welcome to my world of and every company is different. Everybody has different expectations, and in one moment you're told, oh, this person will be working with you, and then the next day, oh, I won't be working with you. And it's reality, but this is what I guess today's theme is work with what you have, appreciate what you have. That resource may be gone tomorrow. Let's see, we have Dr. Singmi here who can help you and help Lini, and yeah, so it's unpredictable. And I've had people, it's same way, like, oh, Dr. Che, I will be coming January. I get this email, something happened to me, I don't think I can come. Something happened to me, I don't, I think I'll have to delay it by 6 months. Most people like that will never come. And there's always things happening, and then totally understandable. It's totally understandable. We have other priorities. So I do think it's a blessing if you can focus on research solely and really try to learn and get the most out of it. It's a blessing. It's so hard to carve out that time in your life. And yeah, I'm appreciative Dr. Uni and Seungmi being here to expose themselves more into the world of research. Good. Are any other questions?
No. I might have a few segmentations that I would want to discuss with you.
Yeah.
But, uh,
Do you have anything now you wanna ask me or?
not it's in the computer, so I'll
So
have to.
just grab me and show it to me, okay, later. Yeah, after the meeting then.
Thank you.
Okay, good job. Will, updates.
Yeah, so EDW, EDW, first screening as usual, it's just, it's under progress. I've received a request from Seong to upload some like segmentation files for the new 64 patients to Picture Health's cloud. So I'm working on it.
Mm.
And then you might have received some like a bunch of emails from me regarding the biomarker studies and the lab manuals and how I just wanted to touch base with the companies and how upon how they are what's like the current status on the contracts. So
Mhm.
far we have received 2 replies, one from Oncocytes. Oncocytes seems like they're almost done. They're just like working on the final approval of the financial exhibits. Pedersen, where I think they don't like quite know what what contract we're referring to, so we're still communicating with them. But those 2 companies are the only ones that have replied back to us.
Mm.
The other 4, I guess they will reply soon. I hope. If not, I'm gonna just like keep like emailing them until I receive a reply from them. But so far, yeah, Oncocyte, and I heard OncoHost is almost also like almost done with signing the contract and stuff. But those 2 companies are actually like the only ones that are, kind of keeping us updated with their progress. So the other 5, I think we still have to like work on it.
Okay, so I'll give you 2 guidelines. One, make sure we know whose ball the court, whose court the ball is in. Who's delaying the process? Is it NU? Is it the company? So make that clear, and try to push the relevant party. That's number 1. Because in your email, it's not clear who you talking to. Is it NU or is it the company? Because so number 1. Number 2, send this email out weekly basis. Okay. Number 3, and make SOP for this the biomarker collaboration. So whoever comes later will continue to do your job. Okay. And that's probably going to be Sally. Okay.
Yeah.
Sally is going to be starting from December 11th.
Mhm.
If
Yeah, so
everything goes well. So but you need to make SOP for everything that you've been doing. Sally will take over. Okay. And so make SOP, run it with me if you have questions, but show it to me. When you make it, it's gonna be all Google Doc. Share it with me, Haesung and Liam. So officially, Liam is the manager, Haesung is the associate manager. They're both in charge. Any SOPs, CC both of them and myself. Also, number 3, I was gonna say. Oh yeah, so go through the previous company emails and CC everybody in the company, not just the contact person. I feel like sometimes if you CC all the people involved, including the vice president, everybody else, and you send out email weekly basis, it has more pressure on the on the on the context person. So I see only one person in the company email, but make sure everyone, like from the president level, everyone is CC there. It's not gonna harm anyone. It's gonna make things move faster. Okay. Okay, anything else, Will?
That's it on my end. Thank you.
Okay, so EDW, you're helping with the radiomics uploading and all that. Pacemakers. Do you have any update on that?
I do have an interview, like the recording of Mr. Keith and his wife.
Okay,
You know the interaction that we had on the clinic last
Yeah.
Friday or the week before. I'll have to edit it. But I think, you know, making a contact with all of those biomarker study companies is like the top priority on like, so after whatever like emailing is done, I'll start working on, you know, edit the video.
okay.
So yeah.
So and I told Seungmi to do an interview, and maybe Yu-chan, you can do that interview with Seungmi. So her name is, what's her name, Seungmi?
It's Hazel. I mean, she was at the clinic yesterday, so we could easily find her.
Brenda Hazel? Or yeah. So she, I think, I don't know where she lives. Her next clinic visit is 3 months from today. So we're gonna have to have her. So it's up to her if she's traveling, coming to downtown, that would be great. If she says, I want you to guys to come to my house, then you so I don't, I think it's, let me put it this way. Okay, I'm gonna make a, so let's do this. If you could, so you can do it through Zoom. Let's, I don't want it because it might be too much to have her come and go. So if you want to do a Zoom interview with her, record the Zoom, and you're gonna have to blur her face because she doesn't want her face to be on the face. So if you can just blur everything, but still she's okay as long as her face doesn't appear, and then her name doesn't appear, she's willing to share her wisdom. So why don't Yu-chan and Seungmi work together to do her interview while Seungmi is here, and Yu-chan, you can wrap up by just editing and uploading. That part you can help Seungmi. But Seungmi, you can actually perform the interview yourself with her. She's like one of my best friend, you know, in the clinic. She should be able to share a lot of wisdom in terms of patient medical team interaction, all that. So let's do that. Let's try that. Okay. And Yu-chan, do you have any update on the patient that I met in Boston? Did we decide who's going to interview that patient?
I have no idea. I don't think we talked about this over.
Okay,
on this.
Liam, are you able to give us update? I don't know if Liam can talk. So we'll just run it by Liam. There's a pic, so I I feel like I shared the Huffington Post the story of a patient. And if you don't know, it's in my Facebook. So her story is really inspiring. I want you to all learn from her case. And she's willing to interview with our pacemakers YouTube interview. So work with Liam to arrange that. I know she didn't respond to the initial email, but I text her if she's not responding to her email. I gave Liam her cell phone number. So just get a date that she can be available to do like a Zoom interview, because she lives in Denver. She lives in Denver. So I think that interview would be really good. So Liam, I know Liam is in charge, but work with Liam to make the pacemakers SOP. I think Sally would be kind of in charge of that. Kind of who's the lead, who's making it, what's the deadline, and when to post it, all that. We don't track it, it's like it's gonna be lost. So I want someone to check it on weekly basis. But I guess for you, Chen, you have Keith video you're working on. You work with on Hazel interview with Singmi, and nothing else. Okay.
Hi, Dr. Che. So I can give you a brief update on those two. So that
Oh, yeah.
patient, we've assigned to Eileen. So she
Okay.
has been trying to get in touch with her. I've reached out to Eileen yesterday. Unfortunately, she's unable to join our lab meeting today. But they are aware of the patient, and we actually have a pacemaker's SOP that Eileen is in charge of. So she's been following up with the students with respect to their interviews and interviewees.
Okay.
So I think we'll be able to get an update from her next week, hopefully.
But does she have
Yes.
the cell phone number? If not,
Yes,
give it
I
to her.
believe
And
so.
texting
yeah.
might be a better way to grab her. Okay.
Mhm.
Any brief update from you on anything we need to discuss?
Yeah, so just a couple of updates from me. Nothing much. I've been working with Dr. Minjung and Dr. Eugene and helping them submit their papers. They just needed help finalizing like proofreading and getting access to the journals and things like that. So I've been helping them with that. And
Okay.
then we've reached out to Hugh about the budgeting piece. So first of all, thank you all for helping me and helping us with the emails. So for OncoHost and OncoSite, the next step will be the budgeting, like finalizing the budget and when they're going to start paying and how they're going to pay and things like that. We emailed Hugh. I just got a response from him this morning saying that he just came back from a sick leave. So he says he'll be able to get everything we need by this week.
Awesome.
So we'll wait for that. And then I've also reached out to Rael. He's the the PathCore lab manager, who's going to be helping us with the logistics for the biomarker study with like this collection kit and things like that. So we've set up a meeting with him this Friday. So I'll go with Will to go over our study protocol, like the addendum piece, and talk about how they want to receive the kits and manage the flow of the study. And I can definitely work with Dr. Hesung on the last trial protocol. So the first step would be to get it uploaded on Notice, which was like a 2-week process. And then we go over to SRC and then IRB. So we'll go ahead with whatever draft of the protocol we have and get that on Notice. And then we'll then move it to SRC.
Mhm. Okay. And that's good. The dark capsules,
Mhm.
the translational piece. Do you know what any updates on that?
No, so we've sent those in to Katrina. We still haven't heard from her.
Not sure what's going on with her. She's not that responsive as the other SWA coordinators. So
Yeah,
I know you
I'll
sent it like a week ago.
mhm.
So same thing, send it
I'll
weekly
follow up with
basis.
her.
Yeah. CC me, let me reinforce. Okay. What happened with the electric field, TTF, that the budget?
That's also with Hugh.
Can you push that too? Because like
Yeah.
that's been, and then what did Rebecca say? Did she say she's not? What she, because you told me she was able to just discuss it even without the budget.
Oh,
You say that or no?
with Regeneron, right?
No, this is Rebecca Warner with
Oh, for the
TTF.
TTF. No, they needed the budget.
Okay, so she wasn't able to discuss it then. So I thought you said she's still gonna discuss it
That was Regeneron.
without the budget.
Yeah, so the Regeneron, the concept proposal that we submitted, there were another company that was insisting on like a ballpark number so that they can have their committee review the concept.
Uh-huh.
But then somewhere along the way, they were able to get the review committee scheduled. So they just decided that they're going to go ahead with the review. So
And
that
is
review
this-
committee already
is this-
happened, but we haven't heard the results.
Okay, can you follow up to see what the result is?
Yes.
So is that the Optule leg? No, that's the no, this is the Regeneron leg 3,
Mhm.
and this is like the is this the
I think it's
It's
like the
start? No, this is like the last, but we're
last two.
last two like Luniscope based leg 3 PD1 combo, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. Hmm. What is the TTF company name? What is the Kaesung, what are their name?
Novacare.
Novocure. Let's just- So without budget, we haven't moved anything. So let's get the budget, and once you get the budget, Haesung, please send it to Novocure. Um. Oh yeah, for Haesung and Liam and everyone. So I went to Houston to talk to their scientists and everybody involved. And there are really great papers, or the abstract that they published, that the tumor treating field or electric field interference of the spindles during the mitosis actually induces immune response and activates immune cells. And very interestingly enough, there's a docetaxel arm and there's an immunotherapy arm. Docetaxel arm didn't benefit much, while the immunotherapy arm really benefited a lot. So there's this unknown mechanism of electric magnetic field causing a lot of immunogenic, maybe it's creating apoptotic bodies that are more inducive of immune system activation. I don't know. the company's doing an in-depth study on it, but I feel like there's a lot to study. And doing an before and after analysis of these things, I think it's practice changing. So TTF is it's really thinking outside the box. It's not surgery, it's not radiation, it's not chemo, it's not targeted therapy, it's not PD-1 or anything, it's not vaccine, but it's something totally outside, just changing electric magnetic field, and it just remotely disturbs immune system. But it has to be done in the right way, in the right cancer type. So I feel like this is a very important topic that we can work on as a group. So let's start with the neoadjuvant proposal that we started. So hopefully Hugh can get that done and send it to Novocure, and hopefully it gets approved. Okay. I have one more project that I want to tell Haesung about. So remember, we have an anaplastic thyroid cancer, and we believe that group, including the poorly differentiated thyroid carcinoma, is likely going to benefit from the PD-1 CTLA or approach. And our belief is that if you add CTLA-4, it's going to add to durability of cancer. So let's work on a protocol that can address this, but we need to find a company that will be able to discuss this. So I think we've tried many different companies and we all failed to get their interest. So this is the strategy. Number one, if they can supply the drug, great, let's go with it. Number two, if they can't supply the drug, can they no, it's the opposite. Can they support the trial? Let's go with it. If they can't, can they just give us the drug? And then I'll have SWOG run the trial. Because it's a rare cancer, I think it's something, the SWOG can still address. And companies like Xencor, AstraZeneca, are not interested. Haesung, can you remind me the other company name that we were never able to get hold of? There was a file you made, right? At one point we were trying to contact them to get the drug. Just can't remember. Was the one of the company called Agenus? Agenus, right? And they never replied to our email, right? Was it true?
It's either Xencor or Agents, but they both want to. Yeah, it's either one.
It was the botensilimab, right?
That's the Agenus, yeah.
Yeah. And I think at one point we gave up.
Well, we submitted it to the Agilist portal, but they never got back to
Replied?
us. Zencore never got back to us at all. They don't even have the submission site.
Okay. So CC me on this. Can you email Agenus to see if they reviewed our protocol and if so I feel like we have to talk to the MSL. Like these just sending to anonymous email, it's not gonna help.
Well, the thing is, we contacted them and they told us to submit through the portal.
And they never got back to us.
Right.
I just feel like if we don't talk to human, that you know it's not getting done. Mm. So Hazel, remind me, has were you involved in the anaplastic thyroid cancer LOI before? So LOI is like just one page. And Liam, can you remind me, were you involved? Because we once submitted the anaplastic LOI to SWOG. And that was more like a Nivo EP. And we weren't able to get BMS to be interested in that. So anaplastic LOI. So it's one page LOI. Let's plan on sending it to at least all we can do. So Haesung, this is the action item. One, follow up with them. What happened to our proposal? Can you follow up on us? Number two, can any of your MSL have a Zoom meeting or a conference with our NU team? We wanna be able to talk to you guys and give us like 30 minutes to you know talk about our potential collaboration. Let's just reach out one more time.
So
Number
I'm a bit
three.
confused because last time we submitted the last trial to
Mhm.
Agilist, and I
Yeah.
have no idea. Are you talking about the last trial or
Yeah, I'm
because I
talking about
never
the
did
last one.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm talking about our submitted proposal. So let's figure out what happened. Did you guys actually review? And can we have any follow-up on that? Number two, can we have a Zoom meeting to discuss our future collaboration? Anything we can do, because we want to be able to work with you. Can we set up a time? Number 3, let's I will see if I can find the LOI of the thyroid proposal. Maybe Liam has it. I'll look into my portals. But based on that, let's just have 1-page LOI and submit that to Agenus, as well as Akizo Bio. And I will send you the protocol that is, it's a Xencor protocol. It addresses 3 histology. One is anaplastic thyroid. The other is poorly differentiated thyroid. The last one is called Hürthle cell. So 3 different histology. We're gonna include all 3 different histologies in there. And we're gonna use either Agenus PD-1 CTLA combo or Akizo Bio drug. Let's prepare 1-page LOI and submit to 2 different companies. And I will help you revising that 1-page synopsis and give you the reference protocol from Xencor. This is a NU IIT that Dr. Lorch, our thyroid cancer doctor, ran. This trial is closed for accrual. So we're trying to bring in another IIT that can potentially lead to new FDA approval with better. So the reason I'm doing this, I think Agenus compound and Akizo Bio is a far better drug than Xencor or Nivo Ipi or AZ compound, based on many different preliminary data we have. So I'll work on giving you the resources. But Haesung, let's keep that in mind. As we continue, because I want to build relationship with Agenus. I've been asking people, anyone know contact for Agenus, but it's just very hard. Okay. Seungmi, tell me what you want to do and
Oh, yeah. So the research that I started 1.5 years ago.
yeah.
What I know is that it was submitted to Cancer Medicine and around August, and they said that it's an active review. And the most recent email Eugene forwarded was around, I think she got the email, I think like 2 weeks ago, and it says that there is a delay, but they are saying the manuscript is an active review process, and they have received 2 reviewer scores, and they're awaiting 1 reviewer score. And once the scores are received, the handling editor will soon render a decision. But this is the most recent feedback, really.
Can you show me?
Oh, the email?
Yeah.
I don't. Oh, I could open it. Okay.
Just share your screen.
Sure. Um. second.
So what's the title of this paper?
It's the sorry, I should have read before I came. This is the title. This is the exact title.
Personalized tumor-informed circulating tumor DNA assay for detection of molecular residual disease in non-small cell lung cancer patients undergoing curative treatments. Okay. So this is submitted. So what's our problem? It's under review or what?
Yeah, it's under review, and I think they're waiting one more reviewer. Of the three, two have reviewed, and they saying that they're waiting for one more reviewer to get back to them.
Okay.
This was received on the 4th of November.
Okay. At least they are replying. That's
Yeah,
so
I
just
guess.
follow up. Tell either you or Dr. O can follow up with a weekly basis.
Yeah, I could
It's been
uh
you were here a year and a half ago, and it's
yeah,
still wow, it's taking too long.
yeah, I agree.
Here's your paper. Okay, so this is the project you were involved when you were here. Anything else you were working on that?
No, not really.
Okay. Okay. So while you're here, work with Liam. So we have the second screening. So work with Uni and any radiomic segmentation that needs to be done, work with Monica. Also, feel free to help Hesong with anything she needs help with. Hesong can, tell you what's going, what needs to be done. Yeah, but basically work with Liam. That way you'll get flavor of, different research, and based on your contribution, we're willing to give you credit on any projects you're going to be involved. 3 weeks, it's hard to start new project and get the ownership because if you go back, you're gonna be busy with clinical duties. So I think the purpose is really to, the research landscape is very different than when you were here. So yeah, I think you'll learn a lot from being involved in different and then for you, because you're seeing patients, just spending time in clinic, it's going to give you a different flavor because I know residency, you don't have great exposure to outpatient oncology. It's usually inpatient oncology. Let's make the patient hospice, like more of that discussion than the success stories and people who are like cured of cancer. Well, even if they're stage 4, you don't get that story as an inpatient. So and yeah, develop your interest in oncology while you're here. Yeah, and then yeah, the one pacemaker interview while you're here. Any questions?
No, I just think that it's a very short amount of time to you know to do a project to start a project, and there's some things cooking, and I could try to read about it and help if there's any help needed.
Yeah, so read the papers that I told you to read. So I'll give you a journal club for next week because you're very clinical. Uni, I think you did one journal club, did you, right?
I haven't done yet.
Oh, you haven't done journal club? Who? Oh, it was Haeyoung. I was Haeyoung did one journal club. But anyway, I know this is your last week, so don't worry about it. just continue to read the the immunotherapy, when to give what, because I know you were involved in looking at neoadjuvant. Try to, 816 checkmate 816 paper. I told Seungmi about it. Just read that paper with Seungmi. And Carolyn is our new Irish Hemong fellow. So I gave her a project to look at side effects, the immune toxicity, and we're looking at different prevalence of different incidents between the neoadjuvant and metastatic. Your body, the hypothesis is if you have metastatic tumor versus a localized tumor, because the metastatic cancer itself is immune suppressive. They can grow because they're creating immune suppressive environment. They're paralyzing T cells around them. If T cells are active, they cannot grow. Get it? So having more metastatic tumor secretes some cytokines, immune suppressive mediators that will make your body more immune suppressive. So the question is, will you get more immune toxicity with Nivo and many immunotoxicity drug in the neoadjuvant setting compared to metastatic setting? Okay. And that's a really good question. So I'm telling you, the reason I'm telling you guys this, and it's specifically relevant for Seungmi and Ani, is that what is going to be a fundamental difference in neoadjuvant versus metastatic? The truth of the matter is that pathologic complete response rate is as high as 25% with the checkmate 816 regimen, which is a Nivo plus chemo, neoadjuvant setting. Now, what is so different? And how can we take advantage of this phenomenon? So there's a beautiful review paper about the neoadjuvant, why neoadjuvant chemoimmuno approach is so superior versus that in the metastatic setting. And what are the preclinical mouse models? What are the immunological rationale that makes neoadjuvant so powerful? Okay. So there's Nature Cancer Review. There's really like great papers about that. So Seungmi, next week, why don't you do a journal club on that topic. If you have trouble finding the right paper, come to me. But I'll let you choose the paper you want. And the following week, I have another journal club for you because I want you to be trained in the clinical matters. And Uni, you are more than welcome to join. But we have recording, so you can always listen to her presentation in New York through the recordings. We always talk about CTLA4, and Haesung and I tried really hard to get these companies that provides both PD-1 and CTLA4. And I'm a believer of CTLA4 adding benefit. So the next topic would be, and I will make the question broader in terms of so the question is, what is the benefit of adding CTLA4 to PD-1 in non-small cell lung cancer? And as part of that question, you can look into, so it has to be I'm not talking about chemo here, okay? Compared to PD-1 or PD-L1 alone approach, what is the benefit of CTLA4? Number one, what is the preclinical evidence? Mouse model, cell line model. Number two, what is non-lung cancer evidence in melanoma, in head and neck, in liver cancer, in renal cell cancer, triple negative breast cancer? What is the evidence we have? Number three, in lung cancer, Checkmate 227 is the trial that we're interested in. And also 9LA is another one we're interested in. 9LA. What's the 9LA data? What are the five-year overall survival follow-up data for those patients? And if we
Dr. Che, other than the 5LA, what was the checkmate
227.
227.
And then this is compared to the Keynote 189. That's the Pembro plus chemo that majority of the oncologists use nationwide. What is the benefit? So compared to the usual regimen where the chemo immuno PD-1 only based, what is the clinical benefit of CTLA4 in non-small cell lung cancer? Let's study that. That will be your second week journal club. And it's a really good question. And yeah, why don't you make like a few PowerPoint slide presentation for your journal club? So 2 topics for you to read and understand. Okay. So with that, I think our time's up. And Haesung and Seungmi, I will talk to you right after this, okay? But any questions or anything before we wrap up?
Dr. Che,
Yeah.
just a couple of logistical things.
Yeah.
So Susie had emailed you saying that you need to approve your expense report so that they can reimburse you.
Okay.
And then OncoHost is hoping to set up a 7 a.m. meeting either on the 5th of December, 12th, or 19th.
8:30 meeting?
No, 7 a.m.
7 a.m. meeting?
Mhm.
Anka host?
Yeah, these are all Tuesdays, December 5, 12, or 19.
Okay, let's do December 5, 7:30 to 8 meeting.
Okay.
So yeah, work with Susie to get that on my calendar for me. And you and Haesung can join if possible.
Mhm. And then for today, you have meetings with AstraZeneca at 12 and a Genentech MSL meeting at
Yeah, so
1:30.
I'm gonna see, Haesung, are you able to attend with me? I can hear you.
I said yes.
I can't hear you. Did you say? You,
I said
are you?
yes. Can you hear me?
Yeah, now I can hear you. Okay, so I'll attend the meeting with Haesung
Is it
today.
in person?
Yeah, it's in person. So we'll get there first, and then I'll talk to Singmi afterwards. And then what do we have in the afternoon today?
You just have the Genentech